Hello. Welcome to the Essential Astrology Report for the full moon in Virgo. I'm so excited that you guys um, are here, whether you're watching the recording or here live. I am so feeling this full moon, and I'm just going to start with the obvious. It is a super moon, so that means it's very close to the Earth, and it is the closest moon that we will experience this year. So it's quite luminous if you saw it last night, or you'll see it tonight. It's quite luminous. It's very close. It's bright. It's white, at least here in New York City. It's very, very white. It's the snow moon, I heard. So all that said, it is an intense full moon. One of the reasons I think it's super intense, beside the fact that it's so close, and of course, because it is so close, we feel it more because it makes the tide rise. And we are 70% water as human beings. And water, from an energetic standpoint, is our emotions. So that all gets charged up when we have a really big full moon. So if you are one of those people that gets really emotional or really cranky or really tired around the full moon, all those are normal things to feel. I personally have been feeling, apologies to the men on the broadcast, I've been feeling like I'm PMSing even though I'm not, because that is the energy of this full moon. It is a little bit frustrated, a little bit cranky, a little bit naggy, a little bit foggy and emotional and all of that stuff. So there's a few reasons for that. And so one is that the full moon is in Virgo. And so if you're a Virgo or you have any Virgo stuff in your chart, then you know that Virgo can be a little nitpicky. It can be a little bit of a nag. I have a moon in Virgo, so I have a lot of Virgo tendencies. So I'm not picking on you, dear Virgos. I love you guys a lot because I feel at home with my Virgos because I have my moon there. We really like things to be neat and tidy and perfect. And we're really hard on ourselves, and we're really critical and hard on other people. And I will share you even something that I said the other night in this cranky, frustrated state. My boyfriend said, you are so critical, so I'm scared to tell you XYZ. And I said, I'm not critical, I'm bringing out the best in you. And that is Virgo. Virgo brings out the best in us. Virgo is critical, and it has an opinion, and it will tell you that opinion, and it knows the right way to do things. And so we're all going to feel a little bit frustrated because people don't necessarily do things the way we deem them to be right. And so I have experienced that in the past few days, like other people not doing things the way that I think is right for them. And then that causes frustration and agitation for me. So if you are with me on that, you're not alone, because I know a lot of people are really feeling this full moon and they're not necessarily enjoying the emotions that come with it. So here's the deal. Virgo is all about the details. It's the analyst. It is the editor, Pisces is the artist. Pisces is the big picture. Pisces is the alternate consciousness, the collective consciousness, what goes beyond the confines of our mind. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is currently in the sign of Pisces. The sun is in the sign of Pisces. The full moon occurs when the sun and the moon are opposite in the horoscope. So they are at exact opposing places in the horoscope, and the sun is in Pisces, the moon is in Virgo, and it's at 0 degrees. And whenever something happens at 0 degrees or at 29 degrees, then we know that it's really important to pay attention to. And we have a series of moons in this 0 degrees. So there is something beginning. There is a sense of beginning. And we've been talking about this for so long. Whenever there's a beginning, there's also an ending. And I feel like since November, we have been working with this same theme of there's an ending and a beginning. And even more now, we're just like, Virgo loves to clean out. Virgo loves to let go of stuff. Virgo is like, if there is one sign that owns the KonMari method, it is Virgo. I'm not sure what Marie Kondo is. I should find out what her astrological sign is, but wouldn't surprise me if she were a Virgo. Although now thinking about it, she's not judgmental enough to be a Virgo. She's pretty compassionate and understanding. So she's probably a Cancer or something, not Virgo. So all that said, you have to get your mind out of the details. Get your mind out of the nitpicky stuff and allow yourself to zoom out and see the big picture. Pisces wants you to see the big picture and to appreciate that big picture. So one of the things that I think is really interesting is that this Virgo and full moon is happening with Virgo's ruler, Mercury, in the sign of Pisces, and Mercury is conjunct with Neptune right now, and Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. So in addition to that conjunction and Mercury being in Pisces, which is not a place it likes to hang out, Mercury is the mind. Mercury is the flow of words. Mercury is communication. Mercury is technology. It does not want to be in big picture Pisces. It does not want to be in emotional Pisces. It does not want to be in that soup, the ocean. It wants to be in the air. It wants to be free to expand its ideas. So Mercury is hanging there, and Mercury is with Neptune. And Neptune rules Pisces and illusions and dreams and the subconscious and meditation and sleep and all of that stuff. So Mercury is not operating on all 12 cylinders right now. So it might be really hard for you to find your words. It might be really hard for you to speak what you're feeling. And that can make the frustration of the emotions that are coming up with this full moon even worse because you can't really give words to them. One of the things I recommend doing is listening to music, dancing, swimming, all of that Piscean stuff. That will help you come into contact with those feelings and process them, especially if you're a person that typically likes to speak them and can't find the words right now. Because I'm one of those people. I did find that journaling this morning really helped me. So if you can find a way to speak without being attached to the outcome, then that's a nice way to also work with this energy. So much of this energy right now is doing the work, but not being attached to the outcome. Allowing the, this is it's a very yogic concept from the Gita, if you're familiar with the Gita, the idea of doing the work that you're meant to do and giving up the results, the fruits of your labor to the God above, the universe, the God of your own understanding. And so I'm feeling that energy right now. It's so much about doing the work for the sake of the work and not necessarily the results. The results will come. And Pisces is asking us to see the big picture, have the faith, understand that there is a larger divine order in place, and you just have to show up and keep your side of the street clean, which is what Virgo will help you do. In addition to that, Mercury is beginning its shadow period now of Mercury retrograde. So where Mercury is today is where it's going to come back to when it retrogrades. So if you also feel like there's some Mercury retrograde energy happening, you are not wrong. I double booked myself today. I was, having trouble running late, having just like weird things, feeling like time was not on my side, Mercury retrograde stuff. So if you feel like that's coming up, you're not imagining it. It's around the corner. It's coming in March. Some other cool things to note about this particular full moon and this week. The moon is trining Mars and Uranus, so you might still be feeling the upheaval from last week. Mars and Uranus conjuncting was a big, aggressive, assertive, anger-producing, volatile meeting. And so if you're not over that yet, completely understandable. Plus, this moon today is trining that. So there's some of that stuff still processing, and this is a good time to let yourself process it and let it go. And again, swimming, dancing, listening to music, those are all great ways to process the emotions that are coming up if speaking them is not working for you. A good tip too is that if you know where your moon is in your chart, then you have a good insight as to how you process your emotions. So if you have an earth moon like I do, then doing stuff, cleaning out the closet, that's going to be how you process your emotions. Not a bad idea today. If you haven't cleaned out your closet yet, if you haven't gone KonMari yet, full moon in Virgo is a great time to let go of stuff that you're holding on to. If you have a water moon, then a water moon like Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, you guys need to feel the feelings. You need to listen to music and go swimming and do some meditation around it. You need to feel the feelings and dwell in them a little bit. If you have an air moon, if you're Gemini or Aquarius or Libra, then you need to talk your feelings. If you are, we did earth, we did water, we did air. If you're a fire moon, you need to get into your body and get out there and go for a run and go do the thing and push some energy out. That is if you're an Aries moon, that is if you're a Sagittarius moon, that is if you are a Leo moon, okay? So those are just some quick tips on how to process your emotions based on where your moon falls in your chart. Okay, so back to this week. Venus is also besieged, so she's hanging out between Saturn and Pluto in that Capricorn section of the horoscope. She is making us feel the feels that we felt in January when we had that first big eclipse in Capricorn. So if you feel that heaviness of January coming back, especially in your relationship or around money, your friendships, this makes perfect sense because Venus is hanging out there. She's going to move past it pretty quickly, but she is triggering that stuff for you. Chiron, that is the big one. We're going to talk about Chiron more next week because I really want to talk about the full moon today. But Chiron is a big, big deal. It moved into Aries yesterday. So now Chiron's going to spend, he's not going to move on to Taurus until 2026. So this is the beginning of a new cycle. And Chiron, we each have our own Chiron return in our chart at around 50 years old. So Chiron moving signs is in transit going to be important for all of us. It's just a matter of where it falls in relation to your actual natal chart. But I think Chiron in Aries is going to be a great initiation for a lot of new stuff. And I think so much of the past few months with Uranus finishing up in Aries and moving into Taurus, and now Chiron moving from Pisces into Aries, is all about stepping in to the next chapter of who you're going to be. Anytime an outer planet that moves slow moves out of Pisces and into Aries, because Aries is the beginning of the zodiac, it's the January of the zodiac. It happens on the spring equinox, though. Whenever any outer planet moves into Aries and out of Pisces, there is a sense of we're done with this chapter and we're starting a brand new one, or we're done with that book and we're starting the next book, because really each house is more like a chapter. And now it's a new book. It's a whole new book. And I think we are all feeling that right now. Interestingly, this is a big thing it's a big moment. As a transit, it really affects the natal chart of the USA. So it'll be interesting to watch that, and I'm going to do a little bit more research on that to share next week on the broadcast. But I think that this is going to be an interesting time in our country. But it is also just a really interesting time for each of us on an individual level. So Chiron is the wounded healer. I didn't even tell you about him. I should have told you about him. He's the centaur, the wounded healer. He's half horse, half man. He is the bringing together of the intellect and the physical primitive nature of who we are. And he is definitely triggering old wounds. And I personally felt Chiron is yesterday, Sun in Pisces, Chiron moved to Aries. It felt like I was awash in a soup of emotion. Full moon again brings all of that up. But Sun in Pisces is emotional. You know, wherever the sun is, that's the part of the horoscope that's getting lit up. And Pisces is emotion. Pisces is not only our emotions that we know about, but the emotions that live deep in our subconscious. So the sun is lighting that up. And then on top of that, we have the wounded healer. Hi, Bobby. I'm so glad that you're here. So we also have the wounded healer moving signs after hanging out in Pisces for like over 8 years. So it's an emotional time. And if you are feeling emotional and if you're feeling like you just want to go to bed and put the covers over your head, I don't blame you, and give yourself the freedom you need to take the rest that you need to take, and all of this will pass. So that's the full moon lowdown for today. I hope that you take some time to journal, and you take some time to, hey Erica, that you take some time to really process whatever is going on. I will share with you one of my favorites to wrap up. Some of my favorite questions that I use when I do my full moon check-in. So on the new moon, we set our intentions for this moon cycle. And on the full moon, we reassess. So here are the prompts that I use for my own journaling practice. Take a moment to reassess your new moon intention and ask yourself, does it still apply? Is it still resonating with you? And then write down, what have you done right? Especially with this full moon in Virgo, it can be so nitpicky. Give yourself an opportunity to celebrate the things that you've done well. Celebrate the things that you've done right in the past 2 weeks for this moon cycle, and even in the past 6 months since the new moon in Virgo. The new moon in Virgo was 6 months ago. What have you achieved in the past 6 months? What have you been working on? Even if you haven't seen the results yet, what have you begun? You know, I personally am working on writing an astrology guide for you guys. I hoped it would have been out at the beginning of January. It's not, but I can't beat myself up about it. I have to really honor that it's almost finished. I've worked really hard on it, and I'm making it as awesome as possible for you guys. So hopefully you're going to get it come March. So you want to honor your emotions and your intuitions, and you really want to allow yourself to be a dreamer at this time. So those are just some sidebars. Okay, so what have you done right? What can you move out of the way to make the path simpler? So Virgo loves simplicity. It loves efficiency. It loves for things to be neat and tidy. So what can you move out of your way to make the path to your intention more simple or simpler? How can you make it simpler? How can you make it more easy? How can you make it as potent and efficient as possible? So for example, if your new moon intention was to work on paying down your debt, you may not have paid it down yet. Obviously, it's only been 2 weeks, but what can you move out of the way to make that process a little bit more simple? Maybe it's finding a really simple way to track your finances. Maybe it's, having some sort of like automated account where it goes into your savings. Whatever it is, find a way to make it simple, okay? Hey, Sherry. Okay. The other thing you can consider is, who can you forgive? So full moons are about letting go, especially letting go of emotional baggage. So who can you forgive? Even if it's yourself, write that down. And then replace that stuff that you forgave, that stuff that you let go of, replace it with what you're grateful for. So identify where in your life you can express gratitude. What can you express gratitude for? So those are my 5 prompts for the full moon. Reassess your new moon intention. What have you done right? What can you move out of the way to make the path towards your intention more simple or simpler? Who can you forgive? And what or who are you grateful for? All right, so that's all I've got for you. Feel free to leave comments and ask questions, and I will get back to you later this evening. And I will be uploading this to YouTube as well. So if you want to share it with your friends, you can always share it from YouTube or here on Instagram or Facebook, okay? Lots of love, and I will see you soon.